authorities giving an update on the home explosion that left one person dead in
Ballantyne.
Ballantyne.
Of a structural collapse with fire on James Jack Lane in South Charlotte. Charlotte Fire Department responded out to the location and found a residential structure that was completely devastated by some sort of specific event that kind of tipped us off for the rest of the evening. As we worked through that process, we were able, after 2 hours, to extricate Dr. Karam. He was able to communicate with us during the entire incident. He was able to help guide us and specify where he was located within the structure, and was able to let us know that he could hear us operating outside, which let us know that we were close. He was also able to give us some direction as to where his wife went during the incident. His wife was Rania Karam. She did pass away in the incident. It took approximately 7 hours from the start of the incident for us to locate and successfully extricate her from the structure. They both were transferred to medic, and the investigation then picked up from there. So about 10 o'clock last night, we started to break down our resources. We secured the scene with companies and law enforcement, and our investigation started back up this morning about sunrise. So at this point, I'm going to bring up our Fire Marshal, John Leonard, who's going to discuss our preliminary cause in this event yesterday.
John Leonard, Fire Marshal, Charlotte Fire Department. I want to stress preliminary findings. We have identified the most likely cause as an interior gas leak. We still have some work to do, so the investigation is ongoing, and that is really all that I'm able to release at this point. I do want to say that the investigation was completed by the Charlotte Fire Department's task force, so it was members of Charlotte Fire Department, CMPD's arson detectives. We had representatives from ATF who were a part of our task force, and with this incident, we also had members of the North Carolina Fire Marshal Association, not Fire Marshal Association, Office of the State Fire Marshal assisted us with the investigation. So we had a lot of hands out there working today. Thank you.
What can you give us an idea? What kind of leak work could it be? It's inside the house. It's a brand new house. It's a gazillion-dollar house. I mean, what's...
It is still an ongoing investigation with regard to that, so we can't give any more details than the fact that we know it was an interior gas leak.
Was it something that was a human error or mistake of some sort, or was it some sort of a malfunction or break? It
was an interior gas leak, accidental situation. That's what we got.
Piedmont natural gas line?
So that's exterior. Piedmont is exterior.
Okay.
That's why I'm stressing interior. Piedmont handles exterior gas lines, not interior.
Was it natural gas?
Yes.
Can you give us an example of, generally speaking, what an interior gas leak would be?
Not at this time.
Is this something that others, like, if somebody else should be concerned about this happening in their home, like what would be?
No, I'm not worried about any other residents in the area.
Could it be like a water heater? Somebody could, you know.
So I think what's important is that so with the investigation, our site investigation being complete, there's still going to be an extended period of time where the investigators, the task force is really going to need to dial into to determine where the point of origin in this is. There's still a lot of information and interviews that have to be gone through and have to be sorted through. So to a specific point on this side was, we encourage people that in the event that you smell natural gas, the best thing that you can do is to close the door and walk away and call 911 away from any property.
How long would this have to have built up to create this kind of?
There's no real way to determine that.
There have been several fires in the area. Do you notice any connection between the fires in that area and this fire?
I'm not going to make a comment to that.
Did the Karam family just return from being away from the property?
I'm not going to get into that as well.
Did
Any
he
word
say
on
that he
Dr.
smelled
Karam's
any sort of
condition?
gas when he walked in, or did he elaborate?
He elaborated that there was an odor, and that's about what we were informed in the discussions that were had.
Any word on his condition?
I can't release that. You'd have to get that from Atrium.
Tell us any idea how long he was away?
No, I do not know that.
And where again was he found? I know you talked yesterday about the different floors, but where specifically was he found? Where was he at when the explosion went off?
So he was, based on the foundation that was remaining, he was found towards the rear of the house in a stairwell. to the best that we can piece all of that back together and what he's telling us. Mrs. Karam was found several rooms away, not the opposite side of the house, but a decent distance. If you're talking two or three rooms, it's, you know, you could be talking 50 to 60 feet.
Yeah, I know you were saying yesterday, as far as you personally, you've never seen an explosion in Charlotte like this before, a home explosion. What's different about this case? I mean, I know it's preliminary, but what would separate this from different home explosions to make it so big and devastating?
So in 2008, we actually did have a similar type incident that there was some fatalities caused by a gas explosion. I think that the thing that differentiates this from 2008 is just the complete devastation that goes around not just the initial building, but the buildings around it. So, you know, we've estimated our property losses on the front side of this, and we're estimating property loss at $5 million. So we're looking at a substantial property loss. In 2008, it was more of an isolated incident that still caused fatality. So if you know, you're not really even comparing apples to apples. You're looking at property that was leveled to the foundation, as well as severe damage to the properties around it, as well as a debris field that, you know, spans several hundred feet away from the actual building of origin.
Can you give us an update on the condition of the survivor?
I can't give, you'd have to contract Atrium or Medic for those.
And is anything criminal being investigated?
So anytime the Charlotte Fire Department Investigation Task Force responds to an incident for investigation is to determine the cause and also determine if there was any criminal intent or activity with that.
Was all that debris when you ever
trigger the explosion?
That'll be something that the off-site investigative portion will determine.
Generally speaking, though, I mean, people are seeing a house exploding on television. I know you don't want to get into specifics, but generally, how can people prevent this from happening?
The biggest thing is is to make sure that your appliances that run on natural gas or propane, that they're maintained. A lot of times, it's something that when it works, we don't think about it. So that's one way. Having professionals in general maintain those appliances or lines to the house is another great way. And I'll re-stress this again, is that if you smell natural gas or propane, the safest and best thing to do is to get out and call 911 and let the professionals come in and deal with that.
Is there a chance you'll never find out with all that debris? Is it just a little pipe someplace or something?
So knowing our investigative task force, I feel fairly confident that they will be able to figure out the details of this. It just is not something that we're talking, it's 4 o'clock now, so they've really been out there for, you know, just over 10 hours. So, you know, we have to allow them the time to do their work and do what they're great at and determining and getting that down to that point.
At this point,
Did family members come to the scene this morning to talk to investigators?
I'm not going to comment on what the family's doing.
at this point, are y'all calling this accidental?
That's correct.
Chief, I found that in pretty much every month this year, there's been something similar like this happen in other states in the country with natural gas and propane costs. I know you said people shouldn't worry, but what do you want to tell other homeowners? Like, I'm even thinking about my stove in the house right now.
I think instead of describing it as worry, I think we just need to make ourselves more aware of what happens with our natural resources as we utilize them. You know, natural gas is a volatile resource that we use if it's not used responsibly or if it's not maintained responsibly. So I think the important thing is just to be aware. There's a reason that there's an odor added to resources like natural gas, is to let you know if you smell that there potentially is an issue going on in your residence.
With 4th of July, a lot of folks are leaving their home for a period of time. Is there any checklist of things they should do before they leave?
I mean, the biggest thing we can tell them is to make sure that their appliances and devices that are in their house are in working order. If you have nuisance issues, you know, to have those addressed before you leave.
Just to clarify, you said this, did you say this was a private line, or what was the difference?
So I know that's come through a lot. We're saying that this is the line inside the residence. So as far as referring to it as a private line or a residential line. We're referring it to gas lines inside the residence.
So it wouldn't have anything to do though with power companies
No.
or gas companies? But, so what typically would be run through those? I mean, we're just talking about oven, stove, I mean.
Yeah, your household appliances. So household appliances. I mean, dryers, water.
You've been listening to Police Chief Ballantyne, Fire Chief Matthew Westover giving an update on the preliminary investigation out of Ballantyne where there was a deadly house explosion. We now know that there was an interior gas leak that caused this deadly house explosion. We've been showing you the video of the massive area from yesterday, an 8,000 square foot home where one person was able to survive.